Okay, welcome to everyone who's joining. Glad you're here. I think we can go ahead and get started.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So, welcome. Thanks for joining us for our designer spotlight here with Allie. So, the designer spotlight from Flooret is our series where we collaborate with designers who bring timeless functional spaces to life using our floors as the foundation for their space. So, for anyone who's new here, Flooret is all about helping people create beautiful, durable homes that actually fit real life, whether that means pets, kids, or just everyday living. We want to make sure that people have a beautiful, functional foundation for their space. I'm Bay. I'm the Senior Digital Marketing Manager here at Flooret. And I'm thrilled today to be joined by Allie from Oak Ave House, who is our current designer from our Designer Spotlight series. We're going to chat with Allie today about her design process, why she chose Flooret for her space, and we'll end with a fun reveal of her latest project, which is a bedroom redesign. And Allie will kind of just show us how it's all coming together. And I think a lot of us who follow you along on Instagram and see the finished product, but this is just kind of a fun opportunity to get a look behind the scenes, get to know your process a bit more, and maybe even just get some tips ourselves on how we can create a stylish and functional space. So, Allie, thank you so much for being here. And for anyone new to your page, you can just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Oak Ave House.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored and grateful for this opportunity and to be the spotlight this month. It's going to be a really exciting time going through all of the conversation that we have planned for today. So, my name's Allie. For those who do not follow me, I am the creator behind Oak Ave House. I started my Instagram almost exactly 4 years ago. In a few weeks, it'll be 4 years ago, which was about 6 months after of us living in our home. We built our house, and I started wanting to document the DIY projects and the things that we were doing. We moved into our house at a very blank slate. So there was a lot that I had planned that I wanted to do, and I was really excited to start sharing on Instagram. That wasn't on my personal Instagram. I feel like it needed its own space. So that's where I started, and it has become something I never expected, which is a really awesome opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like your kind of blend of warmth and intentionality and everything that you share and just like the space you've created on your page is what made this collaboration such a natural fit. Yeah, at Flooret, we're all about blending style and function and floors that perform while also adding a really nice design forward foundation to your space. And so I think that's why we were really excited to work with you and see this project come to life.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
So I think first let's just kind of get into your background and inspiration a little bit.
Mhm.
You can just tell us about how you first got into home design. Was it something that you always loved, or did it start as a passion project with your own home?
Yeah, it really started as a passion project. I have a degree in psychology. I was working for the government for a while, and my husband and I decided that we wanted to build a house. And this was during COVID. So I was working from home, and I feel like that just like all lined up perfectly, that I was able to really devote a lot of extra time that I wasn't spending commuting to my office. And at the time that I had at home to kind of juggle both jobs, my husband decided to be the GC of the project, and I decided to design it. We initially met with like 1 to 2 builders and builder groups, and we just decided that we could really do it ourselves for a fully custom turnout that we really wanted. We realized in the first few meetings that we had, it was going to be very cookie cutter and just like these are the selections you have to pick from. And we knew that that's just not something that we wanted when we were building our house. So it really just turned into me relying so much on Pinterest and Instagram to get inspiration from other designers, other people building their homes for ideas that were very outside of the box. I have never done this before. The last house that we lived in was built for my husband, and when he moved in, it was fully finished, and then I soon moved in after. So there was never really any period of time that I got into this as a job. So it really was a passion project.
Yeah, there's nothing like jumping headfirst into a project like that and
Yeah.
just like, starting from the ground up. That's the best way to learn it, I feel like. And then through that, you can kind of develop your design aesthetic. You kind of figure it out as you go, I feel like, with stuff
Yeah,
like that.
definitely. It really evolves.
Yeah. When you think about the Ogav House aesthetic, it's kind of like a calm, neutral, almost Scandinavian inspired. What
Mhm.
inspired that look and feel as you started to figure out what your preferences were through that process?
You cut out for a second. How did it feel? How did it
Oh,
look?
no. So what inspired that look and feel?
The inspiration. So she is so very popular still. So when we were in the process of breaking ground, the show Dream Home Makeover by Shay McGee came out on Netflix. It was actually like 2 months right before we broke ground. We had our property and we had an idea of what we were going to do, but there was nothing was done yet. And I binge watched her show. I remember we were going on a camping trip and I like watched it on my phone while we were driving to our camping trip and watched the entire series on Netflix. And at the time I really didn't know much about her. Like I wasn't really when we were in the beginning stages of building our house, I hadn't really I didn't dive too far into home design yet because it was also very overwhelming to begin with. And aside from constantly watching HGTV, I was just so hooked on her show. I realized so many of the pins that I had saved on Pinterest were her projects, and I kind of just realized like this is the vibe I want to go for. It's just very like clean and not maximalist. It's not minimalist. It's like there's the home feels lived in. It doesn't look like it's like a showroom at all times. Like I wanted our home to feel very intentional. And this was before we even had a child. It was just my husband and I. And I was like, I want the house to feel very cozy when you walk in, but also very neutral, which is my style at the same time. We painted our house fully white right when we moved in. And I was like, I do not want this house to feel sterile. Like, I need to bring in some color. I need to bring in some like bold accents. And I found just a lot of inspiration from all of her projects. She has some that are a little bit more moodier than others, and some that are really like light and bright. And I feel like I take inspiration from both of those angles. And she's always been my number one top source of inspiration ever since we started building our house.
Yeah, I love her stuff too. And I feel like when you can find someone to just look to as inspiration and just mimic that, it makes it a lot easier to move through that process. But you do such a great job balancing, I guess, like minimalism with comfort. It never feels cold. It's always very lived in and real. And I think a lot of people work to strike that balance. And like you said, like you move in and you paint the walls white, but you don't want it to feel stark.
Mhm.
But how do you get to that? How do you
Yeah,
achieve that like kind of
right.
cozy look? So I'm actually currently in the process of building my own home
Ooh,
and starting to think,
exciting.
yeah, and we're starting to think through the finishes, the furniture, paint colors, floors,
Yeah.
and it's definitely an overwhelming process.
Mhm.
Each decision is kind of overwhelming in its own with so many options out there, let alone creating an entirely new space from
Yeah.
scratch, which you're well aware of as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Um, and then I look at inspiration photos because I'm always looking on like Pinterest, like you said, other influencers. Um, they make it look very easy, right? And I can recognize when a space looks amazing and I love the design, but then I don't know how to achieve that
Yeah.
myself. So asking for a friend, for someone who's maybe newer to home renovation and design, what advice would you give them as they get started? Any tips on navigating those beginning phases of the process?
So I think just staying consistent with like what you like. One of my best friends just moved into a house about a year ago, and her and I still every day talk about like she's always looking for inspiration and ideas and stuff. And I feel like I don't know if it's easier said than done now that I'm done, like I mean it's never you're never done. I shouldn't say done, but now that I'm done building my house, and I feel like one of the things that always stopped me from like making progress quickly, and I overthink everything to begin with, so that's just who I am as a person, but I would like see a picture online of maybe something that just was totally out of the norm for me, like a really moody room, like a color drenched bedroom that's like brown with like really cool pattern curtains and a really bold colored rug, and I would love that. And I'd be like, wait, do I want to like change the whole vibe of my house? Because although like I feel like every room can have its own story and be different, I do personally think a home should flow, and it would really set me back. Cause then I'd be like, wait, is that what I'm looking for? And I feel like my biggest the what makes the most sense to me is to just stay consistent. I would have to kind of bring myself back to reality and be like, look at like my Pinterest board and like all these pictures I have saved, and there is like a vibe going on. And you can always change things in the future. You can always pick up another paint can and paint a room if like it's not flowing with what you initially thought that it would look like. And I told my best friend this a million times. I'm like, just stay the path, stay consistent. Like you like this picture, stick with it. Of course, like don't just be, don't not look for other inspiration, because you may find something else that you're like, wait, this is the wallpaper that I really wanted to do. You know what I mean? And it might be a better decision than the original one you made, but stay consistent on like the idea and vibe that you originally were looking for, because I think that will help your process be so much smoother and just like not rack your brain. Because that's what I was doing. I was like, oh, should I paint a whole bathroom fully black or like this dark brown? Like, and I was like, wait, that's just not what I originally like was looking for. And maybe one day I will, but I like would settle for like a black vanity. I tried to find other ways to like really balance out the design and aesthetic of my home.
Yeah.
And I just think that was really, if I could tell myself that from 2020 and just be like, stay the path, you know what you like, you can always change something in the future. But to not confuse yourself, just stay consistent.
That's great advice, and I'm taking that to heart as I'm doing the same thing. I have considered the all brown room and all of it, so, that's
And that
great.
might work for people. Like, I mean, again, of course, everyone here that's watching, like, I'm just talking about my experience. Someone might move into a home and have like a fully white room that's super neutral, and then the guest bedroom could be very very dark and moody, and like that's cool, that's awesome. But I feel like for someone that's maybe doing like a full home renovation, or just bought a builder grade home that they want to completely redo themselves, or building a home,
Mhm.
I just think staying consistent is so much better for you to just like have a smooth transition to get into the house quickly
Mhm.
and make decisions quickly. And things can always be changed, even if like if you're like worried that, oh, like our white cabinets, am I going to like hate that look? Well, I mean, you can do different hardware, like you can accent elsewhere to really turn it into like what you want if you feel like you made a bad decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Um, and I think, as people think through the design, overall look and feel of their space, obviously floors are like the foundation of that, right? So that kind of leads us into the partnership with Flooret.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about what first drew you to the brand. And I know you've said before that durability was a big factor, especially with a toddler at home.
Mhm.
And just curious what else made you want to choose Flooret and kind of drew you to us.
It was like all a very perfect situation. We had carpet on our second floor. That was one of my husband's like musts. He really wanted that, so I just wasn't going to fight it. There wasn't many of those that he had, but he's like, "No, I grew up with carpet on the second floor. It's cozy." And I'm like, "Okay, fine, but like let me influence you on some color." And interestingly enough, we had carpet laid down and I came home and it was like yellow. And I'm like, "Oh no." And I brought samples home and I picked the color and he agreed on it. And we both were like, this is awful. They ripped it all up. And I chose a different color. And I hated that one too. He was kind of okay with it. It was a little bit more neutral, but it was like gray. And I was like, this is just going to be not fun for designing a home. I don't, and that's just my opinion with like a gray flooring. So we lived with it for about 2 years. And again, it was just him and I. My daughter was born, but she was just an infant. She wasn't like, running around the house. We were seeing like dull paths from us just like walking around. And I was like, he was not about that either. So we decided to rip up the carpet. And at that time, I had seen a friend who I connect with on Instagram often post about your floors. And I was like, oh, I really like what she installed. She was redesigning a home that they bought. And I loved the color. It reminded me of what we had on our first floor, and I just decided to check it out and order some samples. I love the idea of ordering samples and getting to keep them and not having to like drive to a store, pick up samples, bring them to your home, and then have to like return them, which was our experience when we were building and picking floor for our first floor. And the rest was history. I fell in love with what we chose. It was the most perfect color.
Awesome. Yeah, and so you have Kingswood Signature installed in your second floor. So for people who aren't as familiar, Kingswood Signature it's one of our best-selling flooring options from our Modine luxury vinyl plank collection. And it's a really lovely like medium brown. It's got some golden oak and like walnut tones and some sparse knots. It's a really nice option for like a traditional palette and just like a super good foundation for a space like yours. Um, so maybe you can tell us about why Kingswood Signature in particular caught your eye and what stood out about the tone or texture when you saw those samples in person.
Yeah, I talked about this too on my stories a few days ago. The color and the warmth of Kingswood, what that brought to our upstairs was a game changer. Interestingly enough, we don't have a crazy amount of natural light upstairs. We have the bedrooms. Our primary bedroom has only like two kind of small windows that don't point to where the sun rises or sets. So we unfortunately have a pretty dark bedroom at all times. And I was actually afraid to go darker than what I was expecting I was going to do. But that's why samples are so important, because I actually ended up going a shade darker than I expected I would. And it truly made all the difference. Our walls are so white, and it really just grounds the space in a really comforting and warm way. It complements our space so, so nicely.
Yeah. I guess from a designer's perspective, what makes Flooret stand out compared to other flooring options you would have considered for that second floor project?
Like you mentioned before, the durability and the wear layer is so big for us. We are constantly moving around furniture. The fact that it's scratch resistant, fully waterproof, life proof, kid proof. My daughter was dragging, we did a switcheroo with some beds the other day, and this isn't great, but there was like a screw exposed that we thankfully caught, and she's just dragging the piece around our upstairs. It was just like this long, I don't know what it was. It was to a bed, I guess maybe like a support brace, but the brace had fallen out and the screw was exposed. It couldn't have hurt her terribly, but she was dragging it around, and I was like, what is that sticking out? It was like shining. It was like a shiny screw. And it was from one end of our upstairs to the other, not a single scratch. And I was like, this is great. This is actually great content for me to talk about, because it couldn't have come at a better time. So we're constantly moving stuff around, and my husband's at work. I'm doing it a lot myself. I don't get to just like pick up a piece and like move it like you're supposed to with someone else. A lot of the time I'm like dragging it and pushing it across the floor. And I just don't have to worry about that with this flooring ever.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example, literally dragging a screw across the floor, but that's why.
Yeah. I was like, oh, give me that. But that's actually really cool to know that it really is
Yeah.
scratch resistant.
I think that's why a lot of people love our Modine LVP collection too. So it's got, like you said, it's a 100% waterproof construction. It's a
Yeah.
scratch-proof coating, and then a super rigid core that also resists dents. So like every layer is built for durability, but they have these awesome ultra realistic wood looks. So you're getting all of the benefits of that really durable floor, but you don't have to worry about any of the upkeep of a true hardwood. And you're getting that really amazing hardwood look, which I think is really a special thing about our Modine LVP collection.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were looking for. Just
Yeah.
something that, would give us the look, but with a very easy cleaning and fully durable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people are surprised too when you get the samples. Like you were saying, samples are so important. And even just seeing that sample, they're pretty good size though. Like you can get a
Yeah.
good deal for
Yeah, they
for the
are good size.
yeah. But even just seeing that, it's like, oh wow, this really looks like a wood floor. And
Mhm.
I think it's kind of surprising to some people because they're used to seeing different luxury vinyl
Yeah.
look a little bit more plastic. Like this fully has that ultra realistic wood look.
Yeah.
Um, One other highlight of the Modine collection is the DIY friendliness. And
Mhm.
Ali, I don't know if you installed the floors yourself or had some help, but maybe you can talk a little bit about that installation process and how it went.
We did have an installer put the floors in for us, but I really wanted to be part of the project, and I've done this with anything that we've done. Like we redid the tile in our for our backsplash, and I was like, I want to put up a few pieces and like, put the stuff on the wall. Like I want to be involved. So the floors clicked together so easily. The guy said it was incredibly easy to install. And again, it was, a little bit of a mess for them because they were ripping up carpet. So we had to like, take into consideration the baseboards that we had already done. Like we didn't want to rip all the baseboards off. So they said that it was one of the smoothest flooring installs they had to do, considering how intricate they needed to make some of the cuts so that it would like line right up with our baseboards. And I mean, they said it was absolutely fine. But
That's
the way that like the flooring just installs into one another is so seamless and easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice to have the option to do it yourself if you
Mhm.
have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And now that you've lived with your floors for a while, how have they held up? Were there any moments where you just thought like, this is why I chose this floor? It sounds like maybe the screw situation was one of
Yeah.
them.
No, they've held up fantastic. We've done a lot. We've in our bedroom, and this has all happened actually pretty recently. So it's honestly this all comes at a good time to have this conversation. I just got all new bedroom furniture in my room, and moving all that furniture around, and it's a big king bed. It's big pieces, sliding it around. A big dresser that we're like pushing. The guys were just pushing it into place, and I was like, "Is there little felt pads under there?" Like everything was fine. And then transitioning my daughter's bedroom over, I moved her bedroom furniture around 3 different ways. So she went from a crib to a floor bed to like a real bed. But once we went from a crib to a floor bed and then to a real bed, it was a much bigger bed. So I had to like shift all of her furniture around. And there was no issue. Her dresser is so incredibly heavy. And we've had no problems at all with all the furniture that we move around. And we're upstairs a lot. Our laundry room is up here, so we're constantly in our upstairs. We use our upstairs just as much as we are downstairs, and it has impacted daily life and our projects
Mhm.
only in the best way.
Good. Yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah, I think it's just like such a livable floor. And so we love to hear that from customers that like they love it. It looks great over time and it wears well over time. And that's what
Yes.
you want. You need both of those. So
Yes.
yeah. So let's dive into your bedroom redesign a little bit, where you have your Kingswood signature floors installed,
Yeah.
and this is one of your more recent projects. So
Mhm.
I've actually got your mood board here that you created to start envisioning the look for the space. So let me pull that up.
Okay.
Okay, maybe you can just kind of walk us through how Kingswood influenced your palette and your design direction here, how it started, how did it evolve? Walk us through the design here.
Absolutely. So we had a completely different guest room upstairs, and 2 of our spare rooms, I guess I will say, one was an office and one was a guest room. And the guest room was done when we had the carpet, and the carpet was gray. I've mentioned this a few times. So I felt kind of not stuck, but like there was like a certain palette that I kind of had to stick with to just get the vibe that I was looking for. And this all might sound silly, but it's how I operate. And once we installed the flooring, I was like, wow, I just feel like a whole new world has opened up for me to have all these different ideas and color palettes and textures and fabrics that I can kind of introduce now that I have like these really warm, rich toned flooring. And like the last guest room had like a denim bluish gray bed and very neutral colored nightstands, and it just fell so flat in my opinion. So I have been wanting to redo our guest room for a long time, but I wanted to do my daughter's room first, and then I knew I wanted to get us new furniture. So this was the latest project. I have not even shared it yet, so it's actually really exciting. You're getting like a first look. And this was my mood board. So I am a very neutral girly through and through. As you can see, this mood board is very neutral. And all of these elements, I feel like, pair so well with the richness of the flooring that we have. One of the things I want to mention is like the floors are a very medium tone, but they're warm and rich. And I kind of wanted to stay on the line of different tones. So as you can see, like the bed is a very light color. The nightstands are a little bit lighter. They're a lighter tone wood, and then the dresser is dark. So really how it would go is like the bed is very light, then the nightstands, then the flooring, and then the dresser. And that's just how I like to do things. I have seen some rooms and kitchens and things with cabinets or, islands that are like the exact same color as flooring, and it might blend together so well, but that's just not something I like to do. I like to have a variation so that each piece kind of sticks out on its own and has some sort of variation. It really draws the eye towards it. So I love how this room has a variation of like very light furniture with fabrics and different textures all the way to pretty dark. Like the dresser is a very dark chocolate. I'm actually sitting in the room right now, so it's kind of cool to kind of give you a look at how it kind of evolved. The room is also in the works, so I might paint it. I might put wallpaper up. There's no styling done yet. I got the furniture in like 3 days ago, so I'm telling you, like, you guys get the very first look at this room. But truly, I was like, I feel like I just have such a wide array of options to pick from now that I have different flooring in. And I said this before. I know that might sound silly because people just work with what they have, which absolutely you can put area rugs down to really kind of try and hide the flooring if you don't like it or if it's not vibing with you. And that works, that really does. But the fact that we decided to rip up the floor or the carpet and put this down just really gave me like a breath of fresh air. I was like, oh, I can finally design a room like from start to finish how exactly I want it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. It does set the foundation, and that's what you want. I don't know if you're able to like show us a little bit of the
Yeah,
sneak
I'll
peek
like
of
kind
the
of get
room.
out of the way a little bit. So as you can see, there's wallpaper samples right there. So truly the mood board came to life. I don't even have bedding yet. I mean, the bed is made, but bedding's on the way. Nothing ever comes in time, right?
Yeah,
But it's all here. So I got like the dark tone dresser and the really light burlwood nightstands. Here's like a closer one. And then there's the fabric, um, the bed. Couldn't think of the word.
awesome.
Bed. There's the bed. So I'm just already loving how it's coming together. And like I said, I'm very neutral, but I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll throw up like a fun wallpaper or give it like a lime wash paint. I haven't decided yet, so I need to kind of think about what exactly I want to do. Not
Well,
spend too much time on it, but I'm not going to make a decision that I'm going to regret.
yeah, we'll all stay tuned to see. It's really fun to see it
Yes.
come
Yes.
together, especially like from mood board to actual
Mhm.
like design, because you never
Yeah.
really know how it's gonna come together. So it's really
And
cool to
it's so fun when a mood board really does like work out because believe me, there's plenty of times that it doesn't, or like the scale of your mood board or the mood board. And once you have it in real life, like the scale is just like not what you thought it was going to be. And this room has really come together. And mood boards, I highly recommend doing them. There's so many ways you could literally use like the paint app on a computer, like the old school paint that we used to do like when we were kids, and like put something together to see if it's going to work. And on that mood board, those are the floors. Those are the Kingswood signature floors that I grabbed from the Flooret website, which really helped me decide like, oh, this dresser will have like a really nice contrast to the floor. Oh, those nightstands are a little bit lighter than the floors. And I think that they all pair so well together. So
yeah.
highly recommend a mood board.
Yeah, and I'll say that another reason why samples are a great place to start, because you can create the mood board online. That's awesome. And then you can also start gathering samples, like get your flooring samples, your fabric
Mhm.
samples, your wallpaper, and just
Yes.
actually lay them out in person and tile everything, and see that all come together. And being able to put the flooring in there with all the other finishes, you really see how the colors complement each other.
Yeah.
Um, Especially for people who maybe aren't as versed in design. I think maybe their first instinct wouldn't be to create a mood board, but it really is, especially for people who aren't as like designer focused, or it doesn't come as intuitively. Pulling all that together in a mood board can really help develop the idea and see it come to life, because it's
Yeah.
hard to picture, I think, for
Yeah.
people who just like have an eye for that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. Okay, so we're gonna do some rapid fire questions here, just
Okay.
some fun questions, and then we
Cool.
can kind of talk about what's next, what other projects you have coming up, and what's next for OCAF
Sure.
House. So, okay, first we're gonna start with 3 words that describe your home.
Mm. Layered. That's something I've been really trying to do lately is add some layers in. Intentional. I'm really big on like making the space feel intentional and textured. So wood, fabrics, different types of textured rugs. I love layering textures. So there's 2 in 1 right there. Layered, intentional, and textured.
Perfect. Go-to paint color or tone that you can't stop using.
I have to say the white that we have our house painted in because my husband and I have done a few other projects. We have a rental house and his business, we've had to paint things. And I always just say, get Chantilly lace. It is what we have in our house. It is a very stark white, so beware. But I like that because there's 0 undertones. So, in my opinion, we've painted quite a few places Chantilly lace. It never pulls yellow, pink, blue, green. Like it's just purely white. And I like that for a very, very beginning spot to then like accent elsewhere. I think it's just the perfect white. And I love white. And if you want to paint over it one day, that's perfect. But I think white is a really great starting point. And that's just how I was 4 years ago. And that's how I am still.
Yeah, well, and it's strangely hard to pick a white because there's so
Yes.
many of them. So, okay,
Yes.
Chantilly Chantilly white, that's the one.
Yeah. I had
Um,
like 6 or 7 white paint colors in every room of our house when we were building, because of course you need to incorporate and think about the direction of the sun and the way the house is facing and all of that science, I don't know.
yeah.
And every color I thought I liked that was like a little bit warmer was like one was pink, one was yellow, and I was like, and so I found on Instagram someone's house was their reel was, this is the best white paint color. It has no undertones. I ran to the store and I got it and I was like, wow, this is why I love Instagram. Like it just picked the paint color for my house.
Love it. Um, okay, neutral or bold accent?
Neutral always.
Yeah. Favorite flooring tone, light, medium, or dark?
Medium.
Most underrated design element in a home?
Hmm. The first thing that comes to mind, I feel like, is like soft lighting. I feel like I see like a lot of homes that just stop at like overhead ceiling lights. Um, and like small lamps and task lighting are so important for like a soft and cozy feel in a home. Like we never use our overhead lights ever, 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 ever. Maybe the only like harsh lighting we have is like our under cabinet lights, which are very bright, but they're still like so like dimmed because they're underneath cabinets.
Mhm.
But like lamps on dressers, lamps on nightstands, on side tables, floor lamps next to your couch, like do all of it. I think that that's, I don't know if that's really underrated, but I feel like I like hardly see that. Like put a lamp everywhere.
Mhm. Yeah, great advice. Love it. Okay, favorite design trend of 2025?
Hmm. I don't know if this is specifically a design trend from 2025. Maybe it's just been a trend for a little bit, but I've been seeing, and maybe this is because like the algorithm knows what I like, so they just keep showing it to me. That's why I'm thinking it's a trend right now. But I've been seeing like so many bathrooms and like showers specifically have these like gorgeous full, huge full slabs of like marble and like statement stones instead of tile. And I really love that. Our shower is all tile. It's like tiny little penny tile on the floor and then like subway tile. And it's a pretty big shower. It's all tile and so much grout. And it's really a pain to keep like fresh and clean. It's also all white. So that's on me. I would love to do like a full slab shower bathroom
Yeah.
statement thing one day. I don't, and again, I don't know if that's a trend right now or if it was a trend last year and now I'm just seeing more of it, but I see a lot of that and I love it.
Yeah, I've actually been seeing that too. I think,
Yeah,
just statement in general
it's
is
so gorgeous
yeah, is really
and
beautiful.
probably so much easier to clean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, one trend you'd be okay never seeing again.
I hope I don't get anything for saying this, but like gray flooring. And I feel bad saying that, but going from gray carpet, I feel like I'm allowed to. I lived it. Paint your walls gray, do gray cabinets, do anything else gray. But I just feel like gray floors can make a space feel really cold.
Mhm.
And I know like millennial gray was a thing and now it's not anymore. You see things like that all the time. Like I used to be millennial gray and now I'm like, I do this.
Mhm.
And again, I don't know. I don't know if it's still a trend, but I do still see it. And I just feel like gray floors, I feel like could be done away with.
Okay, noted. Vintage find or brand new piece?
Vintage,
Yeah.
for
If you
sure.
could have one dream home feature, what would it be?
Mm, it's probably like a two-part because I would even take it to be two in one. Would love if we could have like a full walkthrough like mudroom like from our garage. That's how we come in and out of our house. We hardly use our front door. I mean, we do. The front door is like in the middle of our home, so we do use it often. But like we park by the garage and we walk through the garage, and we have a drop zone, a small drop zone that 100% works. It works for our family of three. We've got three little hooks and baskets for our shoes. Um, but if I could have redesigned a portion of our house or redo it, a walk-through mudroom with like a butler's pantry, because our pantry and our mudroom or our drop zone are very close to one another. And I would love to have everything off of my kitchen cabinet counters and into like a butler pantry. Like our pantry's pretty big. I'm not gonna deny it's big enough for us. It absolutely is. But to have like maybe like a nice like big countertop space for like the toaster oven, my husband's blender, things like that, that like my coffee machine, my espresso machine, like things that like we use all the time that kind of have to stay out on the countertops
Yeah.
because we use them all the time. I would love for them to like be tucked away somewhere. So
It's
those two, and I would have them one in one together. That would be fine. Like put them together. That's fine.
Yeah, that'd be totally fine. The dream
Yeah.
is to have an uncluttered kitchen. I get that.
Yeah.
um, awesome. So what's next for OCAV House? Do you have any upcoming projects or any spaces that you're excited to tackle?
Yeah, we're actually working on a very big project at the moment. I'm not sharing what it is just yet because it's new, and I really like to work on things before I announce them and share them, and drag people along, especially like if things take like a really long time and it just kind of like falls off of people's radar. I just kind of hold on a little bit, but it's going to be really fun. It's like a brand new, whole new space, so I'm probably being very vague, but like from walls to floors to everything new.
Oh,
So
very exciting.
really exciting project.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, you are
It's
definitely.
not a house. It's not a
Yeah.
house. I'll just say that. We're not building a house, but it's something pretty cool.
Oh, exciting. Okay, I can't wait. Awesome. So looking back, what's been the most rewarding part of your design journey so far?
Getting to do things like this, simply just designing my home and posting it on the internet has given me such an amazing experience and experiences and opportunities, like just like this one. Just very honored to have been chosen for this spotlight and get to talk about everything that there is to OGAV House and how I operate with design and doing our home. Like I said, I started this account 4 years ago. So this is the first time I've ever it's the first time I've ever done a live, but also the first time I've ever gotten to talk to a huge group of people and whoever's here watching and like an audience to talk about it other than just posting something in a reel.
Mhm.
So definitely this whole experience, being chosen as the spotlight and being able to do this live here with you guys today is the reason why it feels so rewarding.
Well, we're really excited that you were able to partner with us on
Yeah.
this and that you like that you like our floors. No,
Yeah.
it's been awesome. It's really cool to be able to dive into the journey a little bit, the design process, and see, because our floors are really the foundation of our home. Like life happens on our floors, and it
Yeah.
goes so far beyond just, you know, the nice picture you can take, and yeah, they look good, but really being able to dive in with you and talk about, how you live on them and how
Yeah.
your family uses them, and brings it to life a little bit. And we love to see that. So it's special for us too, to be able to kind of dig into this collaboration a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved being able to talk about it.
Awesome. I guess we can take some Q&A. I don't know if we've got anything in the chat. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat here, and we can answer. I think one question, are Flooret floors really waterproof? Yes, they are 100% waterproof. Yeah, all it needs is just a quick wipe up. And yeah, there's no need to worry about spills and messes. It's really, we always kind of say like they're worry free, but they really are. They're 100% waterproof. Let's see what else we have here. Kingswood signature is so timeless. It really is. I think you can attest to that.
It definitely is.
Yeah, the color combination. Well, while anyone's maybe dropping some additional questions in the chat, I have one more question. Maybe you can just give people a little bit of advice about, if anyone's on here who's not started yet, picking their floors out, and maybe they don't know where to start. What would you recommend? What advice would you give for getting started with your flooring specifically?
Yeah, I mean, you just said timeless, and that's like a huge word I love to use. Like, I think some of like my bios are like creating a timeless home, like that you don't feel like you need to update
Mhm.
every few years. And I say that as someone who has done some updates. Like I said, like we ripped out new carpet. We ripped out, I should say, almost brand new tile. It was like a year and a half in living in our home, and I the backsplash in our kitchen. But those were just design things that like I wanted to change. You want to love the home that you're living in. So you used the word timeless, and I think that that's exactly the word to use. Like, think about what you want your home to feel like 5 or even 10 years from now, not just like this season. I knew when we installed the carpet that it was not going to last, but these floors specifically, I know will last forever. I love the color. It's neutral. It's in the middle. It's a middle tone, and really anything can pair with it. So for someone picking out floors, if you're doing like a renovation or a build, just order so many samples. So many, like on the lightest spectrum to the darkest, because you might pick something that you didn't think, or something might look best in your space that you didn't think you would even pick. And that's why samples are so great. And you get to keep these samples. You don't have to bring them back to the store. So you can keep them forever and sleep on them and look at them in different seasons. Like if it takes you, a year to build your house, whatever the case may be, definitely order more samples than you think you need, all different types of variation of colors. Ones that have like a really strong wood grain through it, ones that don't, and then you can go from there. But I think really think ahead, and what do you want your home to look like in the future?
Yeah. Someone else asked, which was the second color that you love the most?
Nakan, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Dakan, yes. Yeah.
I loved that one too. I talked about this in my stories the other day, actually. Nakan is almost a perfect match to the flooring that we have downstairs. And this is why samples are important. I originally thought that's like the number one color that I wanted, because we also wanted to tie in our stairs, right? So our stairs obviously connect our first floor and our second. And our stairs were stained to match our first floor. And I loved that color a lot. Once I brought it upstairs, it was like too light, which is so weird. But the lighting upstairs is different in our home. And it probably will be for everyone, unless your home is a complete copy from top to bottom with windows, which ours isn't. And I was like, wow, like that's interesting. And that's why I went a shade darker. And that's where I landed on Kingswood, and I love it so much. But Nakan is also really beautiful. If I put it on top of my flooring downstairs, it looks the exact same. So I have to say I like it, because I do like the color downstairs, but it just doesn't work for upstairs.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. Like ordering samples is just, it's the only way to find the right floor.
Yeah.
And we always recommend, like you're talking about lighting, placing those samples in different lighting, putting
Yeah.
them in rooms around the house, because they really look different.
Yeah.
And you put them, and when you're looking at inspiration pictures, they can look so good in someone's house, and you put them in your own, and you're like, oh, I thought it'd look a lot different. So
Yeah.
seeing it for
Right.
yourself. So another great way to kind of compare samples is order a bunch of cut samples, and then we also have sample kits that we've curated.
Yes.
We have a bunch of different sample kits where we've put together, you can compare models. So we have different plank sizes. You can compare the different models. We
Yeah.
have different color collections like light sample kit, gray sample kit, medium brown. So
Yeah.
I encourage anyone who's considering their flooring right now, order cut samples, look at sample kits, compare models, because exactly what Allie's saying, you might choose something that you weren't expecting. And
Yeah.
so you want to just kind of see what everything that's out there.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, it looks like we have another couple questions. Um, are these safe for our family's health? I've heard some LVP floors are not healthy to breathe in. Yes, they are completely safe. All of our floors are Floor Score certified, low VOC, 100% safe. Yeah, nothing to worry about there. So, and we always talk about, they're kid and pet friendly. All our little critters who are lower to the ground, there's no worry there for them being close to the floors, living on them. Yeah, we only use safe materials. Let's see, is there any other questions? I have a large family and love to host. Any recommendations? Um, I would say, I mean, if sounds like you're looking for durable floors.
Yes.
So we've been talking a lot about the Modine LVP collection, which is super durable. Yeah, if you're bringing a lot of people into your home, especially with the holidays right around the corner, now is actually a great time to start thinking about like getting your space ready for all those guests. And if you have floors that are, kind of worn down, not waterproof, and you're worried about when people come over and potential spills and foot traffic, switch to an LVP. It's a great option. We also have our solvent engineered hardwood collection and our Arista laminate collection, and each are very durable in their own way. I would say sample, like we've been saying, find the right one, but I think it can take a lot of stress away, just knowing that your floors are ready for anything that comes their way. And not being the person who has to tell guests, like, oh, be careful there and, watch out for spills. You can just let people live. And I think that's one of the best parts about upgrading your floors. You just can kind of like set it and forget it. Yeah, let's see if there's any other questions that come in here. Oh, one other thing to mention too, as we're talking about samples, to celebrate this collaboration, we're doing $1 cut samples across all of our collections for a limited time. So this is a really great opportunity to stock up on those samples like we're talking about. Order a bunch and they're only $1. Allie also has a code for 50% off samples. And I think if you go to Allie's page, Oak App House, go to your link tree and you can click on the get 50% off samples link right there.
It's
So
also the first highlight bubble too. So they
there
can
you
click on that and like the link is right there, right in the highlight bubble. It's the first one now. It says floors or flooring, or click my link tree and it's there.
Perfect. Yeah. So now is an awesome time to stock up on tons of samples, $1 cuts, and that extends to sample kits too. So all the cut samples in our kits are $1. And yeah, and grab that code for 50% off. And like I said, it is also a great time to, as we kind of approach the holidays and we're all anticipating all the guests and the hustle and bustle, order your samples. There's still a perfect amount of time actually to decide on your floors and get them installed before Thanksgiving in the next month or so. So I'll just mention too that if you have any questions as you get started, it can be an overwhelming process. Like we've been talking about, it takes a lot of time and consideration, and we have an awesome customer support team. If you go to our site, flooret.com, you can contact them right on our website. You can give us a call directly. There's always someone there to pick up the phone and answer any questions you might have. And we love talking to people about their floors and their spaces and finding the perfect fit for everyone's unique space. I think if there's no other questions, we can give it another second and see if any other questions come in. Otherwise, we can kind of might have one more. Awesome. No more questions. Well, thank you so much, Allie, for being a part of this collaboration and participating in the Designer Spotlight. It's really a privilege to be able to work with you, and we'd really admire your platform and your space, and it's been awesome to be able to see our floors kind of come to life in your space. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. I love the floor. My family loves the flooring, and it's just been from beginning to, not going to say end because it never ends, but from beginning to now, it has just been a wonderful experience, kind of but designing some of the other parts of our upstairs with these floors. And so very honored to have been chosen as the spotlight and given the opportunity to have a platform to talk about my page, my account, how I do things, and how these floors have really transformed our upstairs flooring. So I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. And thank you to everyone who joined in today and listened and sent in questions for us to kind of talk about and let the audience know of all the things.
Yeah. I think it's great to be able to get some advice from people who have, lived through it and can kind of attest to the process and everything. I think if anyone's looking for more design advice, definitely follow Oak Ave House on Instagram, follow Shop Flooret on Instagram. And if you have any questions, we're here. Feel free to get in touch. And thank you so much for tuning in today.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.